Hello and welcome, my name's Nightchronic, and today we're going to take a look at my top 10 Titan exotics in Destiny 2 Lightfall. And of course, as always, I have made a spreadsheet for this video with all the different rankings for PvP and PvE and all the dark theme recommendations for all the Titan exotics in the game, which can still be found at my Discord server, link in the description down below on the channel, #spreadsheetsdoc. And as always, these videos would not be possible without the support of the cute animals on screen right now. You see what I did there? I switched you up, because these cute animals are not possible without the patrons on Patreon. But seriously, these videos, these spreadsheets, and these cute animals are supported by Patreon. Without your help, I may not be able to do these spreadsheets, so check them out, link in the description down below. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. On screen right now, this is my Titan spreadsheet. All the beautiful, dark theme, color-coded recommendation. Oh yeah, actually, just realizing the mods are probably not right. I'll get to that. And obviously the PvE and PvP ranks for every single exotic in the game, which is very important because not everything fits in a top 10, but it doesn't mean that something is completely useless. Right before I get into top 10, I want to talk about the unranked item that we did get this season, the Cadmus Ridge Lance Cap, a Bane Leap obviously being very highly rated. And this particular exotic allows you to very easily create diamond lances by getting rapid precision hits while using a stasis subclass and a rally barricade, and obviously diamond lances can freeze targets and create crystals and all those stasis effects. But honestly, we're in the season of the what the heck did I pick up, and you have diamond lances and tangles and mission objectives and bombs, and there's just way too many things to pick up at the same time. And although obviously freezing targets is nice, strand and suspend completely negates the need for that most of the time. Moving on, let's go ahead and get started. First up at number 10, we have the Ursa Furiosa, which is actually quite a simple exotic, but is very popular for Grandmaster Nightfall. Essentially, the only thing it does is whenever you guard damage with your Sentinel Shield super, you get up to 50% of your super back when the super ends. And as you probably are well aware of, whenever you block damage with Sentinel Shield, it creates orbs, which is built into the subclass. You can also shoot through that Sentinel Shield to do the maximum bonus damage in the game, which is built into the subclass, and it lasts a lot longer when you defend teammates right behind you, which is built into the subclass. So the exotic itself only gives you that super generation. Most of the good stuff is in the subclass. And the reason why this is used so frequently in Grandmaster Nightfall is because it allows you to very easily cycle supers with your team. Let's say you have you with Ursa Furiosa Sentinel, a Well Lock, and a Tether Hunter. You put down the Well, use it for the full amount of time. Then you use your ability, which blocks a lot of damage, pretty much invincible, which obviously spawns enough orbs to get your teammates, both of them, a full super. You put down another Well, you use the Tether, they create enough orbs for you to get your super. Keep in mind, you start at 50%, you use your super again, getting them all of their supers again, and you just keep doing that until all the enemies are dead. Unkillable, tons of supers, tons of damage. But outside of Grandmaster Nightfalls, it's just kind of boring. Following that at number 9, we have the Doomfang Pauldrons, probably one of the more fun exotics in the game, allowing your super to last a lot longer. And if you've never heard of it, while Sentinel Shield is active, melee kills recharge your shield throw, and the shield throw extends your super on hits. So you gotta focus on throwing the shield as much as possible, allowing your super to last a lot longer. If you don't have a shield, you go in and get a melee kill off of some random ad, you throw some more shields. On top of the fact that you can again block damage with your shield, create a lot of orbs, and of course that being very useful to not die. Following that at number 8, we have the Aeon Safe. Pretty much the same as all of the other Aeon exotics across the Hunter and the Warlock, you can spawn in special and heavy ammo with the Sective Insight, which is extremely useful in Grandmaster Nightfall. All you have to do is finish a major or a mini-boss, which there are a lot of in a Grandmaster or even a Master Nightfall. And if it weren't for certain artifact mods that we seem to get every single season, this exotic is a good, consistent, and dependable way to get heavy ammo. Following that at number 7, we have the Lorelei Splendor Helm, which used to be gangbuster broken back in Witch Queen, multiple different iterations of it, even in Crucible doing really, really well. These days, Solar is just kind of bad in Crucible and doesn't make a big difference with Lorelei, but in PvE, anything less than master difficulty, especially when you're doing solo stuff like a dungeon run, this allows you to essentially survive most things. You're going in there with your bonk hammer, doing a lot of damage, creating a lot of sunspots, and healing from those, and anytime you're about to die, it spawns a sunspot on you, consuming your class ability, which usually lasts long enough for you to get another sunspot on an enemy, or run away, recharge, and get your class ability again, making you near unkillable. And again, it is one of the most Titan things you can do is just bonk, 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 bonk. However, the rest of Solar is kind of meh. Following that at number 6, we have the Peacekeepers, which is probably one of the more popular options in the Crucible right now because of, well, obviously immortal and submachine guns being very, very strong. And this honestly gives you a ridiculous number of bonuses and hidden bonuses 2 submachine guns, and it's the only thing that really specifically focuses on submachine gun. If you've never heard of it, it reloads your stowed submachine guns, which by the way is like less time. It's like 1 second rather than the 2 seconds of auto loading, and allows you to ready them instantly, which is very nice for swapping in and out of submachine guns to a shotgun, to a sniper, whatever you need. Furthermore, you improve your handling with all your SMGs, and your movement speed is also faster, which that movement bonus is the same as Dune Marchers, Stompies, and Transversive. So you have the speed of Dune Marchers with all those other bonuses. Not to mention the hidden features, which is you actually get better movement speed while aiming down sights, less of a movement penalty and aim penalty while doing that, 5 more FOV. I think you also slide farther, which is like, why are there so many bonuses for SMGs? Following that at number 5, we have the Dune Marchers, which is usually going to be the speed boots for the Titans. Increase your sprint speed by the standard amount, and you also build up a static charge whenever you're sprinting, so any melee ability, even after you're not sprinting, will create a chain lightning that goes, I think, 20 meters to the next enemy and then bounces 20 meters continuously, which is ridiculous and is actually set to get nerfed next season or in the next major patch. And the synergies with Arc and Void for keeping you alive, and the jolted effects, and obviously the shoulder charge damage is very nice. Following that at number 4, we have the One-Eyed Mask. Yet again, another tried and true, very good PvP exotic that is not broken anymore, which is exactly where you want it to be. And furthermore, if you're a defensive player, you might actually like this better. And although you can be aggressive with it, it is definitely something defensive players can use. And furthermore, it's very simple. It just allows you to get an overshield by killing enemies that are shooting at you, and it's using your guns. It's not some special ability relation or to some special subclass type. It is just enemy that shoots you gets highlighted, you kill them for an overshield. It's very simple, and it almost always has an effect. The only thing it doesn't really deal with is obviously anti-super and getting better at 1v1s. If an enemy player is better than you, you may not see a lot of bonus from them. Following that at number 3, we have the Heart of Inmost Light. Although it did get a pretty big nerf this season, a lot of people overhype the nerf. I still think it's quite a good exotic, especially considering outside of a few couple options, it is still one of the best options for getting your abilities back. Now, if you've never heard of it, anytime you use your abilities like Grenade, Melee, or Barricade, you empower the other 2 abilities, which increases the regeneration speed and their capabilities, either by damage or resistance. And the way that they nerfed it is they reduced the actual regeneration on the class ability part, so you can't just spam class abilities as much as possible, and they also reduced it from a 10-second to a 5-second per time you use it. So before, it used to be you could put down your Barricade, get 10 seconds for your Grenade and Melee, throw the grenade, and then it'll have like 7 seconds to do its damage. Nowadays, it's only 5 seconds, which means that if you put your class ability and you toss your grade's only really going to be getting those bonuses for like 2 seconds, which is very important because that ×2 is usually going to be the best part. And the fact you cannot very easily link them between each other is what really took this exotic down. That being said, I still like using it on Arc, I still like Storm Grenades and Pulse Grenades, and I still like it and would recommend it. Following that at number 2, we have the Curious of a Falling Star. If you want to do DPS in a raid or against bosses, this is what you do. It makes Missile, which is already the highest DPS option for Titan, do double the damage and give you an overshield for the longer that you fly, which allows you to very easily or much more safely retreat from a target that does damage. And to be honest, there's not much more to it. If you're doing damage against Nezarec or any raid boss, you pop this on, you hit the dude with your super, you back up, and you continue using your rockets. It's very simple and it's very useful. Keeping in mind that technically it's not as good as pretty much all of the Hunter exotics, but it is still up there relative to all of these options and is definitely the best option for Titans. And lastly, at number 1, we have the Abeyant Leap, the other new exotic that we got this season that works only with Strand, that makes Strand go from amazing to literally the best Strand build for PvE in the game. If you've never heard of it, Dranger's Lash spawns 2 additional projectiles, tracks targets more aggressively, and travels farther. Dranger's Lash being that aspect where whenever you put your class ability down, it shoots at that little wave. That wave obviously suspends targets, which travels farther. There are 3 of them hitting a much wider area, and the aggressive tracking is actually much more aggressive. And if you haven't heard me say it before, which I've said so many times before, Suspend is extremely powerful. Telling an enemy for like 10 to 15 seconds, depending on your fragment that has that bonus, to just stop doing what they're doing for that full 10 to 15 seconds, regardless of you shooting at them, is ridiculously strong. In Stasis, whenever you shot people like that, when they were frozen, they broke out. Suspend just tells every champion in the game, Unstop, Barrier, and Overload to just stop. which allows you to recharge that barricade, recharge your chakra grenade, which can also suspend, recharge or get more tangles, which you can shoot to also suspend enemies. And that's not all the exotic does. The last part, gain woven mail on suspended targets. All of those ways I just recommended, including popping your super and using the suspension from your super, all gives you woven mail. And you can also pick up a tangle, throw it at the floor, and give you and your teammates woven mail. And if you don't know, woven mail is like you resist half the damage, which is incredibly strong. So essentially, you lock down most enemies in a room with your class ability or your grenades, so they're not shooting at you. You have like half damage reduction, so you're never gonna die. I would say the only downside is you don't have a lot of total damage, which obviously the super does a lot of damage, but beyond the super, you're gonna need something like a heavy machine gun. And if you're playing Destiny 2 without a heavy machine gun, you're not playing Destiny 2 right. So it ticks off every box, on top of also being incredibly fun, and it's one of the new stuff. The eyeball knee pads reign supreme. And of course, a big thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Without their help, these videos would really not be possible. Specifically, a big thank you to Mom and Dad, Kay Pashal, Waffle Iron, Prez, Joe Batten, Rob Strayer, James Oster, Mundy, Stu Buckner, Student Panther, Case Reagan, William Peterson, Arcos, for all their support on Patreon, and that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name's Iconic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.